I just want to say that I'm absolutely thrilled to see so many students here today. It is an important start of a postgraduate journey for you, which will lead you in all sorts of different directions, career-wise and otherwise. So we're thrilled to be partnering with the library today. The colleagues from the postgraduate school are all here, and when Pia does her remarks, she will introduce those who are here. And I also want to introduce the head or the president of the Postgraduate Association. Here he is. So he's also an important person that you should keep in touch with over the course of your stay at UJ. Just quickly, by a show of hands, how many of you come from UJ and how many of you come from other institutions? How many come from UJ? Okay, and how many come from other places? Okay, and where do you come from? If you just want to tell me quickly, where do you come from? Do you come from down the road at WITS or TUT, or do you come from somewhere further afield? Or from outside of our borders? Anybody wants to volunteer? University of Pretoria, okay, so you're very welcome too, because UJ has its own ethos and its own way of doing things, and we hope that you'll be very comfortable here. So just a bit, maybe I'm going to make a few formal remarks and then a few less formal remarks, but just to say that for those of you who are new here, UJ is a large institution, and largely it is an undergraduate-driven institution. It has close to 42,000 undergraduate students and about 9,500 postgraduate students, which includes honors. However, having said that, there is a huge attention placed on the postgraduate project at UJ, and I just want to describe some of the things we're doing and some of the things you can expect while you're here during your tenure as master's and doctoral students. So for those of you who have been here for a long time, you will remember that the Postgraduate Center was located in the library, as Rukeya Bawa, who was the previous executive director of the library, would say. We were in the ghetto right at the bottom where the 24-hour center was. And we were really in a couple of rooms. And my mandate when I came from WITS several years ago was to make something of this project and to make the postgraduate journey for students here something memorable and something important. So we worked very hard. We had a very small team then, but we worked very hard to the establishment of the postgraduate school. And just to say that the postgraduate school is quite an unusual formation in the South African higher education landscape. You'll find schools, graduate schools that are discipline-based. For example, at WITS, you have a graduate school of humanities. In other places, you might have graduate schools which have a different disciplinary focus. But the UJ Postgraduate School is one which has a cross-disciplinary focus, which means we are here to service all of you, whether you come from engineering, science, humanities, or any other discipline. And I think that gives it a unique flavor. And just to say that from my own experience, what I've found is while we can teach you or we can share with you our experiences and build some skills for you, the biggest learning you get is from your peers, from your friends, from your colleagues, from people within your own discipline, and from people outside of your discipline. So I just want to say, please take advantage of that while you are here. It's really important to also step out of the comfort of your disciplinary zone, and when there's something really exciting going on in the library on literature or international relations or 4IR, do take the opportunity to participate. This opportunity, I can say, being so much older than you, this opportunity you will not get again. You are here for a couple of years. You can enjoy the academic ethos. You can enjoy the many trainings that Pia and her team have to offer. You can enjoy a scholarly and intellectual culture. But once you're out of this and either back in academia or in the private sector or in the public sector, it's going to be hard work with little leave, little time for yourself, and you will have different type of foci and different type of priorities. So just to say that after a lot of effort, the postgraduate school was approved by Senate in 2015, and the school was launched in 2016. What is the vision of our postgraduate school? The postgraduate school we call, or we want to describe, as a school of excellence dedicated to UJ postgraduate development and performance. It complements and enhances the activities of the faculties in order to ensure that the institutional strategic aims within the postgraduate portfolio are met. And I think this is an important point to just keep in your mind, that while you are here as our guests and we are your hosts, while you are here, your primary host is actually the faculty and your supervisor. And you need to ensure that you develop those relationships and strengthen those relationships, in particular with your supervisor. And I will come to some ways in which that can be done as we go forward. So as you know, UJ is very committed to global excellence in stature, but also it has a dedicated Pan-African focus. I'm not sure how many of you have read the vision. How many of you have read the vision of UJ? And it says a dedicated institution located in Africa with a Pan-African focus. So familiarize with yourself with these things. It is different from other institutions. It has its particular ethos, and you need to know what that is. Over the last 5 years preceding now, UJ had as its major focus something called the Global Excellence in Stature Strategy. And what that meant was that it put a lot of energy into finding the best master's students, the best doctoral students who qualify in terms of academic merit, bringing high-level professors internationally, all of which to locate this local institution within a global context. That was a very successful strategy. And Sadiso is here. If you'll catch him later on, he will tell you more about all the funding opportunities that are available through the GS. But having reflected on this, and that was during the tenure of the previous VC, Professor Iron Rensburg, UJ has taken a next step. And as you know, with every vice chancellor comes his own energies, his own interests, his own way of doing things. And our current vice chancellor, and if you haven't read up his profile, you should. If you haven't been to his reading groups, which he has monthly, you should come to the library and come to his reading group, is an outstanding scholar. He is an engineer by training. But one of the things about Prof Motala, which always strikes me, is that he is so widely read. He can talk to you about anything. He's read every book, latest book on the humanities, on 4IR, on up to date with current debates. He's the vice chair of the Presidential Commission below the president on 4IR. So he's a very well-established scholar in his own right, besides managing this huge institution. So he has highlighted and signaled, which I think is really important for all of you, whether you're interested in it or not, is the issue of the fourth industrial revolution. And while that sounds like a big word or something that you want to put away and not think about, the bottom line is that in everything that we do, technology governs how we communicate. How many of you are looking at your WhatsApps now while you're listening to me? How many of you are trying to finish an email? How many of you are sending an SMS or attending to something else, or trying to log in and see what your latest readings are for your curriculum? So there are many ways in which, and I think our colleagues from the library will speak about this a bit further, but in every way there is an interconnectedness to the world, and UJ, as its next 5-year initiative, is focusing on 4IR. Now, there are many ways in which this is happening, not only through electronic and online platforms in the library and in the postgraduate school and in your faculties, but in many other different ways. I mean, 4IR is an important vehicle to help us understand what's going on in the global, in the Pan-African setting. It's related to Sustainable Development Goals. And I think you need to think of it both in terms of how it benefits and enriches you personally, but also how can you use these new technologies and skills to further what we see as the key priorities in the South African context. So, you know, I would challenge you to say that in the time that you're here, get a better understanding of what all of this is about and how it equips you for your jobs in the future. So the postgraduate school has a number of partners. We can't do what we do alone. And the main partners are the library, the faculties. Within the research division, we have different directorates. There's a directorate called Strategic Initiatives and Administration, which is which is headed by Dr. Linda Mtwisha. And when we have an executive director who is in charge of the overall research office. And just to say, these are important entities. They also have different opportunities for emerging researchers. For example, they run Tutuga, they run different types of grants. So my advice is that you do need to understand everything that's going on, everything that is on offer. And having been at a few institutions, I can safely say that UJ, I think, is one of the environments that really, really does support its postgraduate students in every way. We also have a strategic mandate, and I just want to highlight some of the big things that we do, or bigger things that I am responsible for on a daily basis with my team at the postgraduate school, all of which involves you. So I want to just say that while you are here with us for maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, we don't want to see you here as students for longer than that. We really need you to leave so that you can open up spaces for other students who want to come up. So one of the biggest challenges we face with as a country is the issue of time to completion. And simply what that means is that postgraduate students, for a variety of reasons, some are part-time, some have other responsibilities, some have interrupted study, they might take maternity leave, they might have family problems, whatever. But one of the biggest challenges in South Africa as the tertiary education sector is that we're a highly inefficient system. I mean, you see that statistic with matric every year of, of the cohort 12 years ago, so many started. And then the final cohort that gets to the final year is about 60%. So it means 40% of students have dropped out along the way, and which is inefficient because we spend a lot of money on schools and on universities, and the tertiary education profile is not so different. So at UJ, we work very hard to ensuring that you get through in time. And maybe I should just give you those timeframes so that you're aware of them from the outset, and you should make a note, mental note or otherwise of this, that for full-time students, the time to completion is actually 2 years. That might sound very short, but that is the formal rule. If you're a part-time student, it's 3 years. For a doctoral student, a full-time doctoral student, your time frame is 4 years, and if you extend that, it's 5 years. Now, that's something you should take very seriously. I have at least 4 doctoral students, and all of them have gone over time for one reason or the other. And it is a very complex process to ensure that you are re-registered. Once you're over time, you have to get permission from your dean. It's sometimes signed off by the registrar. So I think that one of the biggest challenges for postgraduate students is that you do need to map your journey. You need to set milestones, you need to set goals, you need to know where you are going to. And I want to just give you some comfort to say that within the UJ policies, which you should familiarize yourself with, the policies and procedures, all of this is outlined. It'll give you the time frames, it'll give you what expectations you should have from your supervisor around communication. It gives you issues, it deals with issues around the examination process. It deals with what happens at the time of your leaving. It also deals with things like disputes. If you really fall out with your supervisor and find that you can't cope, or their relationship is getting difficult, or you're feeling disempowered for all sorts of reasons. So there are a number of enabling mechanisms at UJ which support you as a student. You have rights, but at the same time, as everybody says in relation to everybody else, is that you have responsibilities. I would urge you, and I think it's one thing that has come up again and again in the postgraduate survey that we do, is that students are not aware of their rights. So you need to familiarize yourself with these policies, and you need to know what is expected of you and what you can expect of your supervisor. There is a standard postgraduate student supervisor agreement that you have to sign once you get your once you are engaged in the faculty, and that outlines a whole lot of areas that you are responsible for. I also want to just bring to your attention a very important innovation that we are putting in place from the beginning of this year, and this is called the electronic monitoring system. And basically what it does is it divides your whole postgraduate journey into 9 milestones. Your proposal phase, the phases of your chapter, and then the examination phase. Now, this will be available to you electronically, so you can engage with your supervisor electronically, because one of the biggest challenges we face when there is a dispute or a disagreement is, there's a long paper trail of emails, and everybody says, I did this, and no, you didn't come to a meeting, and yes, I did send you a note, I was sick, or I did SMS you or WhatsApp you. I think it's an inefficient way of doing things. So this new postgraduate journey that which will be a Blackboard module, is an important way of tracking where you are and supporting you. We will be doing a rollout in all the faculties with CAT, which is the Center for Academic Technologies, from March, and you will be invited to that. So postgraduate journey is very important for you. The other big area which all of you and all of us face, and my own area is education funding, so I know a lot about the difficulties that you face, and Sadiso is here today, MCB, I'm not sure who else is here from funding. Money is tight in South Africa. The money for postgraduate study is limited. But if you perform well in terms of academic merit, if you have certain needs in terms of falling below a means tested threshold, there is funding available to you. But it does mean that you have to perform and give off your best. So just to say that in the postgraduate school, we run a fairly large budget. We manage about 161 million rand worth of postgraduate funding. And this is a combination of the university funding from the URC, the University Research Committee, from the NRF, and then external funding, and then the Global Excellence and Stature funding. So there is funding available. There are also supervisor-linked bursaries. Again, you need to ask the questions to your supervisor or come to the postgraduate school and find out. Be bold, be vigorous, annoy people, but ask them what is available, whether it's capacity building, whether it's funding. So we manage a lot of funding. It's not enough to support all the students at UJ. In fact, it most probably only supports, a quarter of them. But you need to ensure that you apply. We often get students coming to apply, when things are closed. So that's also an issue. Research capacity development is the other section. I'm not going to speak to that because Pierre will speak to that in a lot of detail. And then we accommodate postdoctoral fellows. I think my time is sort of coming to an end because we have a long program. But what I did want to say was that, we have the postgraduate school mandate is below. We perform directly against the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Internationalization, who is Professor Swarap Sinha. He also sends his warm greetings today. He is in Zimbabwe on a study trip, so he was unable to be here today. I'm just going to quickly mention to you the policies that you need to keep an eye out for. There are UJ academic regulations that relate to postgraduate studies. There's a research policy. There's a guidelines on authorship and co-authorship. There's a policy on research ethics. There's a higher degrees policies. And then there's the charter of the postgraduate school. I think I'm going to sort of begin to conclude there. We are located just across there next to B5 in the postgraduate building, which is the Akanya building. It's a beautiful building. Please come. You will come there for your training activities. We look forward to seeing you there. Kevin Riddell, who is there, sitting, maybe you want to put up your hand, is in charge of communication and information. So very, very important. We have 9,000 postgraduate students. Keep an eye on the website. That is where you'll see your funding opportunities and other things going on. I just want to then wish you very well on your postgraduate journey. It's going to be a great opportunity. There are competitions, there are conferences that we host. There are lots of things we do with the library. We do things with the faculty as well. We have discipline-specific activities, generic activities. Please take advantage of them. And very importantly, we have an electronic complaint service, which we will let you know about. But basically, if you have a serious problem on the academic side, you are welcome to lodge your complaint there, which we then take up with the faculties. So, yeah, it's great to see all of you, and I look forward to seeing you over the next couple of years. And good luck on this very, very important journey. And congratulations to all of you for being master's and doctoral students. And I'm sure your contribution going forward is going to be large. So, thanks.